So I'm the head of programme for family learning and community outreach, and although I'm here, we're actually out in the community. We don't deliver any family learning here at all. So I'm very rarely here. My office is upstairs, but I'm out and about a lot. I've got 2 coordinators and quite a big team, and we deliver in 2 boroughs, in the borough of Camden and the borough of Greenwich. So we're really spread out, and both boroughs have got quite different profiles, different type of. It's more transient in Camden. We've got a lot of generational families in Greenwich. So sometimes something works in Camden, doesn't always work in Greenwich, so we can trial it there and think that's a great idea, and it just falls flat somewhere else. So it really just, every course is bespoke. Last year we reached over 1,000 families over the 2 boroughs, and obviously we're targeting particular families, we're working with schools, but we've got to sell ourselves as being able to deliver, find the venues, all sorts of stuff. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about how we approach it and how, some of the obstacles and how we've tried to overcome them. How did you came down to St Pancras this morning, or Euston? Do you know this is just behind the station? Yeah, it looks very bucolic. It's called Camley Street Natural Park, and it's literally just behind. It was an old coal yard in between the sidings, which came into, and it's run by volunteers, and it's got flowers and the canal runs along here, so you can see the barges. But it's where we often take our families, and they love it. So, they can go pond dipping, a lot of the things that you think you can't do in London. And a lot of them live with it literally 5-10 minute walk, and they didn't know it was there because it's hard to access things if you're not in the right position, or you're not quite sure, you think it doesn't belong to you. They might have seen the sign. So, and every course that we have an outing, and it's a targeted outing. It's got learning outcomes, and the main outcome is that they'll revisit and go back with their family. Sometimes they come with their children, sometimes they come alone. It depends on the course. But that's a particularly favourite one of everybody's. So as I said, we reached 1,000 families last year. Our targets are set by the boroughs. We always over deliver, and we stick to within our hours. We have about 1,100 hours to deliver in Greenwich. It's a big borough. There's lots and lots of different places, and that's worked really interesting. We've been in children's centres, obviously, libraries, community centres, nursery schools, primary and secondary. We've been working with housing associations because they often have a cafe or a sort of a hub, which has been great, and also that means they can target families. And as you were saying, someone on the ground who actually knows the families is much better than us just walking in and deciding what we're going to deliver. So we do quite a bit of consultation as well, find out what people really want. We obviously work with community groups, but particularly we've been working with the Gurkhas, Nepalese in Greenwich, which you don't get in Camden. So we've got other types of families in there. So it really does, it is targeted. We look at skills that they might need, up their basic skills, English, ESOL or maths, and that's always embedded, as you can imagine. We've been working in health centres, that's particularly in Greenwich. We made a really good contact, and they've got their training rooms that we can use. So I think it's just, you find it will deliver something there. And in Camden, we've been delivering in hostels. And some of the families are obviously, it's very transient, that we could start a course of 5 weeks and they could be gone after 2 weeks. So it's really about trying to work out how they're going to achieve what they want to achieve, and how we're going to get there. And that can be that's been quite a difficult one to work with. So we've made it into 5 courses down to 3-week courses. So I think it's just trying to make it into blocks that people can see how they can move on. And we've also been doing some work in cafes, like I said. Yeah. Okay. So I said we'll go anywhere we're asked with a risk assessment. This also looks very bucolic. This is actually I don't know if any of you come in to fly into City Airport ever. If ever you do, and it comes along the river, and there's a big sort of lake, and that's it. And this looks lovely here, but here there's a massive, massive estate, and it was the estate they used for Clockwork Orange. It's really bleak, really brutal, and a lot of the families are really, really hard to reach. And it's a really interesting mix in that area in Thamesmead. There's a big estate, there's massive on this side, there's a big travelling community which we're trying to engage with, but that's been obviously trying to work with a liaison worker. And the groups don't mix, so someone will go to one place but not to another. But we found that the canoeing, we just got talking to someone who runs the canoeing and the sailing on the lake, was really popular. So we pay for that, and we pay the instructor, and we run these in the holidays, and we've had fantastic feedback, and it's all about working together, teamwork. We've got 3 generations in one boat sometimes, and the feedback's been phenomenal. They've gone back there, they found out that for the day, they can go for the whole day for about £7. They can sail, that's the whole family as well, so it's something they can actually plan for. But obviously we're running courses, they're developing their skills. They do a race that goes over the bridge. It's run by a fantastic woman from the fire brigade who does that as a volunteer. She teaches them. It's really, and she's local, so it's a really interesting, something different, because I think, I'm not sure. And then through that we try and channel them into other activities, obviously, that we're doing. This isn't very deep, by the way. It's actually, we're studying but they're a really big health and safety thing. And a lot of the time when they're bringing up to book, they'll say, well, can I drop my children off? And we say, no, you've got to come together, all of you. The only person we let off was someone who was really heavily pregnant, so she didn't have to get in the canoe. But I think it's just something, oh no, I can't swim. I said, well, no one can swim. So it's about working together to think about how, to do something unusual, something out of their comfort zone, and then we get them onto, there's a library just around the corner, they can come and do another course or a workshop. We do spend a lot of time working on enrichment, and the projects I want to talk about particularly, moving on now, is we've been working with schools for children with special needs, and that's been in Camden, and now we're doing this in Greenwich in 3 schools. And the parents there do not meet at the school gate. The children are bussed in, so the children go off in the buses, and the parents think, they've got a breather. So when we're running courses, if they turn up, I really feel that's a massive achievement, because most of us would just think, let's just lie down for half an hour. And some of them have got 2 or 3 children with special needs. So we've been running this course, and part of it is going out and about, because they never get a chance to go out. But also, if they can go out, and if they wanted to go back with their children, how would that work? What's the access for wheelchairs? Is there a lift? Compiling a sort of a guide that they can use and share with other parents. I took them on the boat down to Greenwich from Camden, and none of them had ever been on the boat. It was quite eye-opening, actually, because it took ages just to walk from Westminster Tube to the boat. That took about an hour, because we were looking at Big Ben, they were looking at the river, and they were tourists in their own town. So that was and they said, we never go out, this is like being on holiday. They'd all dressed up. It was, in the end, by the time we got to Greenwich, we had about 20 minutes, enough to eat a sandwich and get back. But I just thought, it's the journey, not the destination. So it was really interesting. And they just didn't care. And I was with a family inclusion member from the school, and he was saying, we're going to look at the Meridian line, and we're going to do this. I said, look, they're looking in the shop. We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere. That's just another day. Just leave that. They can come back. So we talked a bit about that as well. And then of course they were talking about their priority for getting onto the boat if they were with their children. So they thought, it's not as scary. They could take the lift. So it was a really interesting day, and the boat is fantastic. It really is. If you've never been on it, it's very exciting. It speeds up after Tower Bridge. It's really fast. It's like being on a James Bond thing. So I think, and then afterwards we get them to write about it, tell other parents, talk about it in an assembly. We've got loads of photographs, and they take hundreds of photographs. And I'm shouting down the things, and then over there is a thing, and that's the thing. Then because the spray is coming, it was a really lovely day. So we've done it quite a few times, and vice versa with student learners from Greenwich coming up to Westminster. But of course they want to get off and look at the House of Parliament. Never seen it, never been anywhere near it. So we do lots of things like that. Hang on, sorry, wrong way. So the targeted learning. So one of the schools, special needs, we did a healthy eating course. A lot of the children. There are sort of things like allergies, things that set them off, lots of different things. So we looked at quite a lot of information, worked with the school. And these 2 parents have got special needs themselves, and they come to every course. And it's the first time they've ever made potato salad. Mm-hmm. And so they said, I'm never going to try it again. Mm-hmm. They were so excited. And so we looked at things they didn't know what parsley was. Not just them, a lot of them just didn't know how to access different things. So thinking about budgets, we can embed some maths, quantities, how we do things. And this particular school, they ended up making a recipe book. They all brought in and they sold the recipe book at the school fair, which got some money towards funding for the school. So I think it was just moving things around in a cycle, really. So then they felt, we did that. And the same thing, these are parents who don't meet at the school gate, don't have a chance to really share anything. And most of their meetings at school are based around problems, issues, something that's wrong, they've got to find something out. It's about money or access. So to come in and just have 2 hours where they just... So they're working really hard, they're talking non-stop. So, you know, you have to just, you know, sometimes the lesson plan, just have to chuck it out and just go with what's actually really happening in the room. Because there's some really valuable support going on there, peer support for other parents. Someone's just turned up. And for a lot of the parents who've got school in Camden, it's from age 3 to 19. So some of the parents are in mourning. They're just dealing with having a child with really severe special needs. And the other parents can be really helpful. A lot of the mothers end up on their own, single parents, that's quite typical. So there's lots and lots of support in place. So like I said, the fact they actually come in at all is something. So how it happens, we're lucky we've got a really big team who are brilliant. We've got all our tutors, we've got coordinators, we've got our own crash workers. But we're having to grow our own because the ones who are in mainly Camden, it's very hard to get them to go to Greenwich. It's a long way to go for 2 hours if you're in a children's centre. We've tried to recruit, really struggled, and we pay quite well, so I was quite surprised, thinking, okay, what's the problem, what's going on? I thought, right, we'll just have to run our own childcare courses. We run them here, but if you need to run them out there and get parents involved, parents who said they'd like to do some working or something in the school or volunteering. So we've got a whole pathway now towards that. I've got an admin team here who are brilliant. The main thing is being flexible and adaptable, as you know, in family learning. You get there's nothing, the room's not there, or there's no paper, or there's everything like that. So I think you've just got to have a really open mind and also realise that sometimes the lesson is just not going to work like that. Somebody's come in with a problem, you're going to have to deal with that first. And we do all our own promotion and publicity, so because that's the other thing, as you say, you know, it's no point just thinking, right, here we are, we're going to run a fantastic course, and then no one turns up. You've got to put in the legwork, and you've got to meet the right people who are going to support you. So the whole thing is a team. I should add underneath, I also mean in the venues as well. My left and my right, sorry, I'm not bringing the left and right. The main thing we do is try and link to other programmes. So of course we've got all the programmes here. Most of our learners are not going to come to City Lit. They don't even know where it is. You know, we can hardly, they just know the very, very small area, home, school, shopping, it's a very small triangle. So we do, obviously we signpost them here if that works, because sometimes that does happen. But on the whole, we're signposted to our other provision, which is out in the community, which is my other hat. So we've got health and social care, we've got working with vulnerable people, we've got quite a lot of people who are service users themselves, who we're trying to access. So apart from working with the children's service, we also work with troubled families, which I think is called Families First now, depends where you are. There's different names.
Still troubled families in the north.
Is it? Yeah. I think some people. I think it's called Families First. Thinking Greenwich. It's called that.
Ours is stronger families.
Stronger. There we go. Yeah. So I think it's finding the right people who are going to help you reach the right learner. Obviously, it sounds simple, but actually sometimes it isn't. People move on. We do quite a lot with family support workers as well, and also there's I think called Well London, Well Families. That's more of a health thing. So that's how we're delivering in health centres, because we were working with Well London. They had quite a bit of funding, and they were really helpful to us to set us up in Greenwich a couple of years ago, and then we just carried on with the programme. And through them we've done a lot of volunteering groups, which then also kind of moves on to people upskilling with their English and maths, and we're hoping they're the ones who are going to go on to our childcare courses as well. The main thing we're able to do is we've got access to IAG. So we've got IAG here, and which is actually out here in the library, and they'll actually come out to all our courses and speak to all the learners. A lot of them will say, oh, I don't know, I haven't got any plans, but actually just having a conversation and seeing what's possible, or even just think, I don't know, actually what do you really want to do? Oh, I'd love to be a teacher, but that's never going to happen. So it's just, okay, it's just thinking, as we know, what the steps will be. We've also got a dedicated IAG outreach worker who goes out to Greenwich, because obviously it's a huge borough, and she's been doing lots of consultations. So when she's talking to parents and she's saying, well, what is it you want to do? Obviously we can put on anything, but do they want to? Are they going to come? Is that what they really want? And a lot of them wanted to be teaching assistants. Okay, right, okay, so that means we've got to run some maths and some English, alongside. So I think it's just really targeting what we're doing, and that it's really what they want to do. I've been looking at community development because we did all these volunteering courses. A lot of them are thinking, well, what now? So it's about trying to find some projects they can move into, think about using a budget. Because I was talking to a development officer and she said, we did this project and someone gave someone £2,000, but they were so scared they couldn't spend it. And I thought, okay, that's about empowering, isn't it? That you feel you're allowed to make decisions and do that. Every course receives IAG, so I said either our workers go out there or they can come in here. And sometimes we've got 2 classes coming in next week, and I booked a room for them so they come in, they find out, because they're City Lit students, so they're just out in the community. And we track all our learners, obviously, with their permission, because obviously, like everything, we need evidence and impact for everything. I've just got here being flexible and responsive. We were in a community hall in a new venue, and another huge estate in Thamesmead, and no one came. We had about 1 person. It was a beautiful day, so we just took all the tables outside and all the chairs, and then literally just, you just walk around saying, do you want to come over, we're going to be making some puppet. I think you've just got to put the legwork in, and you've got to have the staff, you have the team who realise that you don't just sit there, while no one's come. And so I think when you're recruiting staff, it's really important that everybody understands quite how it works. This father here spent ages making this doll. It was fantastic. And we used to just run through term time, but now we run everywhere. We run all through the workshops in the half term and all for school holidays, because people kept saying, could you do some more work? So what I'm thinking now, what our next plan is really, as I said, networking is crucial, spreading the word. The parents who are at the special needs schools who are there, they're going to be there for about 15 years as parents. So we need to move them on. They can't keep coming back and making things. So I was looking at trying to make a parent champion programme, and then they could use their expertise to become advocates, to get other parents to come in and encourage them. And 2 of our parents from the special needs schools have won Adult Learner Awards, and so that's what we're looking at the moment. That's the next thing. And we don't know whether to call them ambassadors or parent champions, but that's up to them. They can decide what they think is a better description for them. But I think that's the thing, using what they've done to get more parents to come in, because obviously there's still quite a few that we're not reaching. And that's us. You can follow us on Twitter now. We've become quite modern.